So today I'm making 2 liters of egusi soup for a client, and I chose to use this opportunity to make a video on how to make egusi soup. And like I always say, I am my own camera woman, so there are times the camera might be out of focus. If there is anything you do not understand from my explanations, kindly write it down in the comment section and I'll try my best to answer you. So these are the ingredients I'll be using for the soup. Here's my palm oil, the melon, egusi. I already grinded it in the market. I bought hand peeled. They said it's hand peeled. I wouldn't know until I start cooking it. Then I'll find out if it's actually hand peeled. Then this is a crayfish I'll be using, already grinded in the market as well. Today I'm going to be using otazi, a bitter kind of leaf that is also flavorful. That's what I'll be using for this egusi soup. And this is my grinded pepper along with hot leaf seed, the fresh hot leaf seed. I grinded it together with the pepper. Then down to the proteins. This is my stockfish and pomo. This is part of the pomo. The one in the stockfish is the tough one, so I want to put it together with the stockfish that it can get done on time. This is our dry fish, and then under these ones we have our beef and intestines that we'll be using for the soup preparation. This is the seasoning cube that we'll be using, no beef. I already added 2 wraps of this, like 1, 2 into the beef and the intestines. They've been marinating for close to 1 hour now. So those 2 I added to it are what we are going to be using for the entire pot of soup. I won't be adding any extra. I just put this here for emphasis. You can use any seasoning cube of your choice. So this is the gas cylinder, and we've started the cooking profile of the soup. This is the beef and the intestines that I've been marinating for about 1 hour now. We're going to let them cook in its own juice. This is the water from the meat after the marinating, the water from washing it, the water that came out from the inside, everything. So we're going to let it cook in its own juice for about 10 to 15 minutes before we go on to the next step in the cooking process. The beef has been boiling, the beef and the intestines, they've been boiling for around 10 minutes, and as you can see, the intestines are doing a very good job of rounding about. I guess that's why the Yorubas like to call it roundabout. You see how it's rounding, right? So now I'm going to add the stockfish and the tough pomo so that it can get done. So I've added the stockfish and I'm going to stir everything together to see if the stockfish will go down and stay on so that it can get more heat. And at this point I'm going to add some water to the pot, because the stock here is not enough, and if I'm to leave it like this it will end up drying up. So I've added water to the pot. As you can see, normally the water is supposed to be added to the level of the proteins, but I added the water a little bit above the proteins because I'm still going to add the dry fish later on. So we're going to allow this to boil for around 10 minutes again before we proceed. So guys, it's around 10 minutes and we're back to check the contents of our pot and see our stock is stocking right. So to this I'm going to add the dry fish. Check out the dry fish. And before someone starts complaining that I'm intimidating them, Biko, remember that I say that I am cooking for a client. This is not how I cook for myself on the norm. I don't get money to buy all this plain meat and everything. So if you're cooking in your house, just use the proteins you can afford. Follow the procedure and use whatever protein you can afford in whatever quantity you can afford. Okay, so I'm going to stir it all together. Stir everything together and allow this to boil for 5 minutes before we add our melon. And I'm back to continue from where I stopped earlier. How I love what I'm saying. I have been speaking in tongues since, Oh la 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 la. I don't know who dashed me this song I'm singing. Don't mind me on this song. But show you rough. It's not love, it's rough. So I'm going to add our melon at this point. And like I said earlier, it's in the cooking that we're able to find out if this is actual hand-picked melon. Because there is this thing that hand-picked melon does. Like, I don't know for other people, but for me, when I cook with engine-picked melon, machine-picked melon, it smells like chicken feet. I don't know why. It just smells like chicken feet to me. And also, it just stays like that in the pot. But when I cook with proper hand-picked melon, as a child that grew up in Abia State, guy, when I cook with proper hand-picked melon, just give it like, see the way it's boiling, give it like 10 minutes and come back, you see the way it will just cake, like the way you put egg on a hot pot and into cake. And science students, I beg, help me, what's the name of that reaction again? The reaction where egg coagulates on coming into contact with heat. What do you call the reaction? So that's what I'm looking for here, you get. That's what a proper hand-picked melon does when you put it in a pot of soup. So I'm going to give this 10 minutes and come back to find out if it's actual hand-picked melon or they call it hand-picked melon. So it's been around 10 minutes and I'm back to check whether our melon is actual hand-picked melon or an imitation. Although perceiving the aroma from outside, it's smelling a bit like they call it hand-picked melon, not the original one, but we might be surprised. Let's see, since it's not smelling entirely like chicken feet. Oh my god! Oh, can you see it? Like, look at the way it's caked. See how it's caked? You see? You see what I was talking about, right? See the way it's... God will bless this young man for selling me original hand-picked melon. Huh? Look at this. See the way it's caking everywhere. Just like moi moi. Can you see it? See melon. Oh my god. This client is going to enjoy, Jerry. Okay, so at this point I'm going to add the palm oil. Remember I told you that in Africa we eyeball our ingredients. We know they do cups and spoons and whatever measurements they used to do in Igbo land. So this here is about half a cup of palm oil. For those of you that choose to measure your ingredients, I just eyeballed it, and it's around half a cup of palm oil. So I'm going to allow the oil to marry the rest of the ingredients properly, to mix up properly. The Bible says that for this purpose a man shall leave his father and his mother and cleave to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So I'm going to wait for this palm oil to become one flesh with the rest of the ingredients. Then we continue. So let's see if the palm oil has properly married. Oh, it has properly married. Light yellow, because they were not doing oil festival. Light yellow. But at this point, the doings of this pot have overseeded the capacity of what my spatula can handle. So we are back to iron spoon. Yeah, I already used it to turn it before. So to make sure that nothing is burning under. At this point, seriously, I'm beginning to feel the need for camera person, but I don't have one, so I'm helping myself. At this point, I'll add the soft more. Remember, I told you that the one I added earlier was stuff so that it can get done along with the rest of the ingredients. And I'm going to add the pepper and hot leaf seed I grinded together. I tied it in a nylon to trap in the fragrance and the flavors. I don't want to lose any flavor, so I'm adding them to the pot now. That's a nylon. So I'm going to give this a good stir to go around the other ingredients and marry themselves properly. It's a very wonderful marriage going on here. Marriage of flavors, roadblocks, obstacles, and the rest of them. Oh, this soup is souping. It's souping. But you can always cook with the proteins you can afford, okay? If you want to add more than this, you're welcome. If you want to add less than this, you are welcome. So I'll let this boil for a bit before I start adding the crayfish. It's been boiling for a while. By now the pepper and the hot leaf seed must have been gone round and incorporated with the other flavors. So I'm going to add the crayfish at this point. I'm just going to add like half of what I have in the nylon here. So this is the crayfish. That is more than half, but it's worth it. Okay, at this point we're going to add a little more liquid because our soup is becoming too thick and dry for our liking, and we need to have some liquid in the soup. There goes the liquid to lighten up the consistency of the soup. Also to prevent burning, because if it burns under, to tamper with the taste of our soup, which we do not want. So we're going to let this boil for a few minutes and then we'll come back. It needs a little more water, just a little more. Oh, spilled. So we turn this properly. Everything is fine. So we're going to let this boil for a few minutes, and then we'll come back and test for seasoning before we add the vegetable, and the soup is ready to go. It's been 5 minutes and I'm going to test for seasoning after stirring to avoid burning. I'm going to test for seasoning and then it's good to go. As you can see, our soup splattered on the floor when we were turning it earlier. So I've tested for seasoning and it's good to go. But just for that extra bit of taste, we're going to add some salt, about 1 heaped teaspoon. I said teaspoon, not tablespoon. About 1 heaped teaspoon of salt. Give it a stir to combine. And in goes the star of the soup, our otazo leaves. We're not going to be using a lot of it, just for the presence to be felt, so that the soup doesn't turn bitter. You just want the soup to be kind of bitter sweet, but more on the sweet side of bittersweet. You get, you know, egusi soup is naturally sweet, so in all that sweetness, the otazu will now bring in a hint, just a hint of bitterness to even out the taste and make it super yummy dopey, if you get what I mean. So we'll give it a minute, just a minute, and the soup will be brought down. Our soup is ready. It's been a minute and the soup has been brought down from the heat. This is a pot of soup. So we're going to dish out the client's order. Join me to dish out this 2-liter bowl of premium egusi soup. With enough obstacles, you get what I mean? You know what I have in mind? The song that's coming to my mind now, you know. Babies, oh yeah, oh, ukurogala, like that. You know, most times you don't judge a book by its cover. Because I'm sure that looking at the top of this food, you wouldn't be able to guess the kind of obstacles it has underneath the top. Some days are like that. All the more reason why you don't judge a book by its cover. So we're going to stop here so that we can cover this container. Although I think we might actually need to reduce it a bit later, but we're going to stop here. And that is it. Thank you for watching. Tell me where you watched from, and if you have any comments, any questions, feel free to put them in the comment section. I will try my best to answer you. Bye.